Alrighty, this next video is all about photosynthesis. Okay, so today's activity, you should have already completed the POGL on photosynthesis and learned some things about photosynthesis, and now this video is for your actual notes on photosynthesis. So at the top, it asks us for the location of photosynthesis. Okay, what organelle did we learn about last unit that completes photosynthesis? Right, the chloroplast. So photosynthesis, of course, happens in the chloroplast. And in the chloroplast of plant cells, because we know that animal cells don't have chloroplasts. Okay, and our full reaction that you will need to know is as follows. 6 CO2, which is carbon dioxide, plus 6 H2O, or water, yields C6H12O6 plus 6O2. You will need to know this equation for your tests. Hold on one moment, someone's at the door. Alrighty, sorry about that. Sorry if I repeat anything I already said. But again, this is the reaction for photosynthesis. We put carbon dioxide and water in. A plant takes those things in, and then a plant creates sugar and oxygen. It gives off oxygen. We know the plants give off oxygen because we're breathing in the oxygen that they give off. You might be thinking that light is also needed for this. Light isn't generally something that the plant takes in, but this happens in the presence of light. Okay, so light is what's making it happen. As you can see, there's a light right on where I wrote light. Okay, so I want to break this up into two separate parts, and we're going to focus on the carbon throughout this process. Okay, so there's two different things that are happening in the photosynthesis reaction. The first is what's called a light-dependent reaction. The light-dependent reaction. As you know, the prefix, or the word dependent means it relies on something else. Okay, so what's happening in the light-dependent reaction is that light is used with water to create electron carriers and oxygen. In the form of O2. Okay? So what's happening here is I have this picture down here, and this is, of course, a chloroplast. Okay, this is a chloroplast. And what's happening is we have light coming in to our chloroplast. So light is entering our chloroplast. Okay? We're also having water enter our chloroplast. Okay, we also have water entering our chloroplast because plants are taking in water through their roots and their stems. And what's happening is in this, so just some other labeled things, this excess area is what's called stroma. Okay, so the stroma is where everything is just floating around. And then we also have these things, these little stacks of stuff, is called grana, whereas where photosynthesis is happening. So what's occurring then here is light is being used to create electron carriers. And what an electron carrier is what we call, I'll put it over here, NADPH. NADPH is what is called an electron carrier. Okay? And electron carriers are super important in the process of photosynthesis, okay? So we're making electron carriers. So let's say this is divided into two parts down the middle. Our first part here, we have light coming in and water coming in to make electron carriers, okay? So here, we're making ATP, a small amount of ATP, and NADPH. Okay? So this is all the light-dependent reaction. We need light to make these things happen. Our other part of photosynthesis is the light-independent reaction. the light-independent reaction. So a reaction that doesn't need light. Let me grab a different marker. Hopefully this one works better. So what happens here is that we're using the products of the light-dependent reaction. So the electron carriers and the ATP are creating glucose. They're creating glucose, which is sugar, using the carbon from CO2. Okay, so here we just made this NADPH in the light-dependent reaction. We're now going to use that NADPH right away, and it's going to enter what's called the Kelvin cycle. Okay, it's called the Kelvin cycle. And in the process of the Kelvin cycle, we have CO2 going in, and the CO2 is going to combine with the NADPH and the ATP to make sugars in the form of glucose, which the plant needs to eat and survive off of. Okay. I will post a supplemental video on this because I know this is very confusing. I don't know if I told you guys yet, but this unit will be tough. It is a lot of new words, a lot of in-depth chemistry. So make sure you're focusing on this and taking good notes. Have a good rest of your day.